Let's kick it off, everyone. Let's talk about more great news that's happening in my life. We're going to talk about low appraisals and what happens. Now, this is going to be good times, everybody. This is going to be a true story. I will leave out names and exact numbers and all that kind of stuff, but I'll give you a real deal. I try to take what's happening in our actual business and use it as teaching tools to try to, I don't know, give you guys some stuff that's not theory, but it's actual reality. So we had a client. This will be relevant as I get into it. A cop and a nurse, okay, go under contract on a new build. It's a new build, new construction, right? Lead time was about a month to get the thing done. It was in a very late stage of construction once we picked it up. And so one of the first things that happens, especially on that new build, just because it takes a little bit longer, is want to get the appraisal ordered. So the appraisal came back last, like Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. Mind you, 10 days after that fact, or after that, we're supposed to close on the unit, right? And they're supposed to move in, get their keys and all that kind of stuff. And the appraisal comes back $28,000 short. And on a resale home, that's uncommon to have an appraisal come in 28 grand low. But on a new build, it is shocking, okay? It is a shocking thing to happen on a new build. See, here's how new builds work. And this is a big community, right? There's a lot of units being built. So the sales reps, they sit behind their desk all day, right? They don't really go into the field and do anything. They sit there and they wait for people to come to them. And it's a cushy job. Like, it's a good job if we're all being honest. And I know they would never admit that, but it's a good, cushy job, and they probably make a lot of money without really having to go out and get any actual clients of their own. So this is probably jealousy in my voice, not so much judgment, maybe a little judgment. But so they sell units all the time, right? They put a couple units under contract a day. That's probably aggressive, maybe one a day, who knows? But they do it all the time. Every week they have multiple units that close, right, that are now completed sales, and they have multiple units that go under contract. So they know their prices better than I could ever expect to, right? Because there's a lot of things they have under contract that aren't even on the MLS. They just have them in their files. They know what it's under contract for. They don't even upload it to the MLS because there was no point to it. So point being, they know exactly what these things are worth at any given moment. So when a new build appraisal comes in $28,000 low, it tells me a lot, which is, one, we have a pretty, let's see, there's no names being said, so what's the difference? So we either have stupid people who don't know how to run comps, or we have shady business practices. It's one of the two. We either got to be dumb or shady. Which one is it, right? And so, because I've never, on a new build, had an appraisal come in low. We just assume you guys know what these things are going to sell for and appraise for, because you do these all the time. All you do is sell units inside of this community. So clearly you know what they would sell for. So the community, if the appraisal comes in 28 grand low, so what's the deal here? How's this thing gone wrong? Dumb, or AKA incompetent, or shady. So I say to the builder, I'm like, so can you send me some comps? Because we can have the appraiser reconsider the appraisal. If we can present them with data in the form of other comparable sales to show, hey, look, Mr. Appraiser, you actually got this wrong. It actually is worth what we're paying, and there's just some data that you missed. So I go to the builder and I'm like, can you send me that data so that we can get them to reconsider and hopefully bring their appraisal price up to what it is that we're paying? And they send me all the relevant sales and then the under contract units. And I'm like, and I start running all my own comps and everything. I start doing detective. I go into Hercule Poirot mode, Murder on the Orient Express for those, Agatha Christie for those who didn't get the reference. And I'm like, this unit is not worth what you guys listed it for. In fact, it's worth 28 grand less. It's worth exactly what the appraiser's saying it's worth. So who screwed up here? And they're like, oh, we have some units under contract. We'll send you those. So I'm like, under contract's nothing. We're under contract at XYZ number that was 28,000 too high. So why would the appraiser consider your under contract comps to be remotely reliable? And the answer is they're not. The appraiser was like, no, we won't even consider under contract units, which is what I expected to happen, only closed sales. So basically, here's where I've gotten to. So we request that the listing, the builder, bring down their price. I was like, clearly you guys are going to anticipate that we're going to say, no, the price now has to be what the appraised value is, because who in their right mind would want to bridge a $28,000 appraisal gap? If my client said, no, we still want the unit, cool. You have your existing down payment you already were planning on spending. You have your closing costs that were already in there. And now you've got to come up with an extra $28,000 in cash because the bank is not going to loan you money on something that is not worth what they're loaning you the money on. So if the bank's like, let's just say it was $400,000 is what it's worth, the bank's like, we're going to loan you $400,000 because it's not worth $428 hypothetically, right? The $28,000 gap. So they're like, hey, we'll loan you the $400, but you got to come up with that $28. So now my guys are a cop and a nurse, like in their 20s, are supposed to just come up with this enormous chunk of cash. No, not going to happen. So we go to the builder and we're like, you guys need to drop the price. And they're like, we can already tell you the builder's not going to drop the price. So let me tell you why. Because they have two other units that are under contract at higher prices than what we're paying. So if our sale, if they drop the price on ours, then they're going to have to keep dropping the price on the other ones. Now, mind you, they would be dropping the price to what it's actually worth. But this is just seller greed right now. We'll do a video on that soon. This is just seller greed. What they need is a sacrificial lamb. That's exactly what this is. I figured it out earlier. I'm like, we're the sacrificial lamb. In order for you guys to start getting those numbers that you're asking, someone has to pay the piper. And you're thinking that we're going to be that. We're not. We're not. The deal's going to, the deal's going to die. Like, it's not official yet, but like 90% of me thinks that deal will die. And it's sad because it's a self-inflicted wound from the builder. They're the one that killed the deal. But they need that sacrificial lamb. They need someone who's willing to come up with that extra 28 grand. Because if they don't have that, then all the other units aren't asked what they're asking for. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. I mean, it's borderline in the suspect like practices category where it's like, can you bring this? I don't think you can bring that up to a real estate board to be like, yo, you guys need to look into that builder and what they're doing because that shit's not right. But this shit isn't right, man. It's not right. Okay. So look, low appraisals, guys, typically they're only low like a few $1,000s, at which point you go to the seller or the builder, however it may be, and you're like, hey, the house is worth $5 grand less than we're paying according to a professional appraiser, so we're going to pay you $5 grand less. And they're like, well, yeah, that makes sense. That's what it's worth, so that's what we will adjust the purchase price to. If they hold to their guns and they're like, we're not going to change, then you have to come up with the cash. The alternative is you meet somewhere in the middle, and you're like, okay, I mean, our middle here would be like, hey, look, we're going to come in with an extra 14 grand in cash, and you guys have to drop the purchase price 14 grand. Then we would have a new deal. But like, I can't in good conscience recommend that my clients do that. It's not a strategic move for them. This is a long-winded video, everyone. I apologize. It's how the last handful of days of my life have been going. So, is what it is. We'll go ahead and move off the topic. If you guys have questions on that, because that might have been a little on the technical end. If you have questions on that, write it down in the comments and I will get back to you guys with an answer. If we want to talk about alcohol for a second here. So the good thing going on in my life is a lot of good new booze scores. So I think I had brought you guys this before. Appraisal, I think is how you would pronounce this. It's a Scotch 16-year, absolutely fantastic. I killed this with one other dude, a stranger to me, actually on Thanksgiving Day. I usually spend Thanksgiving with a bunch of random people that we don't have anything to do, so we just kind of get together. And me and a helicopter pilot pretty much killed a bottle of this and loved it, so I had to get another one. This is the 16-year. Because it was so good, I also decided to roll the dice and I bought their 12-year. I'm told that the 12-year is also really good. So I picked this up as well recently. The 12 years about 55 bucks, the 16 years like 70. Which, so if you can get the 16, do it. I can't vouch for the 12-year yet. Neither can he. Neither of us have had any of it, but I'm told it's good. But for 15 bucks, I say pop for the 16 years. 16 is tougher to find though, so you might have to get the 12 because I'd hunt around a decent amount to get the 16. That's it, everyone. If you need real estate help, let us know. If you have not, because I don't do these reminders often, subscribe to the channel. That helps us out. The comments, hitting the thumbs up button, all that kind of shit helps. So do that. You guys take care. I hope your week is going better than mine, and I'll see you soon.